could a trade war reshape the global economy as we know it? With tensions simmering between Washington and Brussels, the clash over tariffs isn't just another business squabble, it's a high-stakes game where both sides are digging in for a fight. In recent days, the European Union has reached its limit with President Donald Trump's aggressive tariff policies. As the EU prepares to strike back, the question looms, what will this economic showdown mean for ordinary citizens on both sides of the Atlantic? The U.S. administration has taken a firm stance, promoting an America First approach that has ruffled feathers globally. Crucial imports, including steel and aluminum, face a staggering 25% tariff, leaving many countries, including those in Europe, to ponder their next steps. For a long time, the EU adopted a cautious approach, measuring its response to Trump's trade strategies. But now, the time for patience is over. The European Commission is considering its own $28 billion retaliatory package, which could unleash a wave of tariffs on American products. This decisive move raises stakes for many industries. Imagine the sounds of the bustling markets that could soon feel the chill of this brewing trade storm. Agriculture, automotive parts, and even beloved American brands like Harley-Davidson could face economic repercussions. The EU is sending a clear message: we will not remain passive. Products will be targeted, and retaliatory tariffs will mean that if you raise prices on our goods, we'll do the same. What happens next? Will the economic landscape shift dramatically? Or could an unexpected twist bring the two powers back to the negotiating table? In a spectacle reminiscent of a high-stakes chess match, both sides are strategizing. The European leaders are pondering how to maintain unity while addressing the diverse interests of their member states. After all, nations like Germany and France have significant stakes in the trade game. As frustration mounts in the US about the potential fallout, predictions swirl about potential job losses and inflation rising from a strained relationship with Europe. Politicians on both sides are sounding alarms, warning that continued escalation could lead to a full-blown trade war with global repercussions. Will the American economy be able to withstand the pressure? The battle lines are drawn, and the stakes couldn't be higher. As both sides prepare for what could be a monumental clash, the world watches. Will diplomacy prevail, or are we on the brink of an unprecedented economic confrontation? Keep an eye on this developing saga, it could change the way nations interact in the global marketplace forever. In recent times, U.S. President Donald Trump, advocating for America First, has enforced a series of heavy tariffs on various imports. With a dramatic 25% levy on steel and aluminum, additional charges on automotive components, and new taxes on agricultural products, he's driven a wedge between the U.S. and its global trading partners. This aggressive strategy, though aimed at protecting American manufacturers, has been labeled protectionism by the European Union, sparking an impending economic clash. The stakes are high. The European Union is poised to unleash a retaliatory package worth $28 billion, an undeniable declaration of intent. This response directly counters Washington's tariffs on European goods, promising that for every action, there's a reaction. The EU's Trade Committee has meticulously identified American products to target, from renowned motorcycle brands and premium alcohol to agricultural exports and cutting-edge technology. Each move sends a potent message: we won't back down. As the European Commission crafts this counterstrike, they aim to ensure a significant economic impact. The list of targeted products will emerge gradually, increasing tensions in U.S. politics over the potential repercussions of Trump's trade decisions. The sound of concern can already be heard reverberating from leaders across Germany, France, Italy, and Spain, who assert that unilateral trade actions must be met with unified responses. Will this clash merely be a flash in the pan, or is it the beginning of a broader economic tempest? As both sides prepare for a possible trade war? The implications for global markets hang in the balance. The $28 billion retaliation is just the opening act. EU officials understand that if Trump's tariffs take effect, they will respond with equal force. This package aims to disrupt American exports across various sectors, reflecting the seriousness with which Europe is approaching this standoff. Will this also ignite public debates in the US over the implications of losing a lucrative market? The stakes continue to climb. European leaders expressed their determination: we will not crumple under pressure. However, some in the EU feel uneasy, concerned about the potential fallout their economies might face. The intricacies of global trade mean that every country has intertwined interests and vulnerabilities. Can they maintain solidarity, or will fractures begin to show?
Trump's administration remains bullish, asserting their trade strategy is unwavering.
Some argue this approach could lead to massive job losses in key sectors like agriculture and manufacturing.
The looming question remains, is this manipulation of tariffs a strategic play or a tactical error that risks alienating essential allies? In this economic labyrinth, both sides stand their ground. The EU's decisive actions signal that compromise may not come easily. The potential for a new cold trade war is real, and the ripple effects could touch every corner of the globe. As discussions continue, there's an air of anticipation. Will cooler heads prevail, leading to a collaborative solution? Or might this escalation lead to significant losses for both powerful economies?
The future of international trade hangs precariously in the balance, teetering between triumph and turmoil.
Can diplomacy mend these fraying threads before they break entirely? In the tumultuous landscape of international trade, tensions are reaching a boiling point.
As the European Union grapples with the implications of aggressive tariffs imposed by the United States, a monumental $28 billion retaliation package has just been unveiled. This isn't just about numbers, it's a clarion call that reverberates through the corridors of power in both Washington and Brussels.
The stakes? The fragile economic relationship between two of the world's largest markets could unravel.
As European leaders unite in defiance against President Trump's unilateral moves, a storm brews on the horizon.
Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, has boldly declared that retaliatory measures won't stall but only escalate.
The sentiment is clear: if you strike, we strike back, reflecting a growing impatience among European nations who understand that acting individually will only empower their adversaries.
Meanwhile, industries from German automotive to French winemakers are holding their breath, waiting to see who will be left standing after the dust settles. But what's the Trump administration's response to this unexpected move? The White House remains defiant, asserting that America will emerge victorious in this trade war. Secretary of Commerce's remarks hint at a significant disconnect. Do they not realize the repercussions this could have on American businesses?
Inflation could surge, jobs could dwindle, especially in agriculture and manufacturing, a chilling prospect that keeps business lobbies awake at night. In Washington, the divide grows. Some argue Trump's tactics may alienate Europe permanently, labeling it a strategic blunder. Others, however, cheer on the push for America first. The tension is palpable. If the U.S. keeps blocking access to its market, America may find itself on the losing end of an economic tit-for-tat. Could this lead to a full-scale trade war that shakes the foundations of both economies? But inside the European Union, there's an air of unity and determination. Member states react, knowing well that individual retaliation could fracture their collective bargaining strength. The pervasive fear of losing the U.S. market molds their strategy. The question remains, how will they navigate this treacherous terrain? Will they continue to stand together, or will differences begin to surface? As the clock ticks, the $28 billion retaliation plan hangs in the balance, poised to reshape not just the trade landscape, but the political fabric of relationships across the Atlantic. How will both sides maneuver through these turbulent waters? The answer may lie in the coming negotiations, or the lack of them, leading to chaos that none can predict. The question that looms is simple yet complex: who will ultimately prevail in this high-stakes gamble? What could emerge from this chaos? A new trade agreement, or a devastating conflict? The world watches in suspense. Tensions between the United States and the European Union are reaching a boiling point. As President Trump continues to impose tariffs aimed at benefiting American industries, European leaders grow increasingly frustrated. Recent reports suggest that the EU is ready to respond with a significant counterattack, an eye-popping $28 billion retaliation package. But will this truly shift the balance of power, or is it merely a political statement? The stakes are high. Germany's automotive giants hang in the balance, while France's renowned wine producers rely heavily on American consumers. Italy, Spain, and the Netherlands are not immune either. They fear that trade friction could destabilize local economies. Despite internal worries, the European Commission stands firm, advocating for solidarity among member states. United in purpose, officials argue that fragmented responses will only weaken them. Amidst escalating threats, the $28 billion package symbolizes more than just financial retaliation. It asserts European strength against unilateral pressure from the Trump administration. European leaders emphasize, our market is just as significant.
This proclamation sends a clear message: if America pushes too hard, Europe will push back, undermining U.S. economic interests.
However, observers believe that a cold trade war could herald disaster for both economies, which together manage over $1 trillion in trade annually. A rise in tariffs threatens to spike consumer prices, disrupt production, and lead to layoffs, effects that resonate beyond borders, especially as a global recession looms.
How does the EU formulate its countermeasures amidst these heated negotiations?
While one might expect calm amid the storm, the stakes are too high for complacency. President Trump is not just a negotiator, he applies pressure with intent.
Europe's response speaks volumes about its commitment to political honor and economic stability. If giving in translates to greater losses, then delay might embolden the EU to prepare for a fight rather than capitulation. This brewing conflict raises profound questions. Can the two economic powerhouses find common ground before it's too late? Will they engage in meaningful dialogue, or will tensions ignite an all-out economic war? As both sides brace for impact, enters a looming question: how far will each go to protect their own interests?
The next few weeks will be crucial in uncovering whether diplomacy will prevail or if a titanic clash is inevitable, impacting consumers, businesses, and economies worldwide.
Tensions are escalating between the United States and the European Union as the two economic giants find themselves locked in a high-stakes standoff.
Recently, the EU stood firm, refusing to yield to the unilateral pressures from the Trump administration. With the announcement of a robust $28 billion retaliatory package, they have made it clear their market power is significant, and they will not be bullied.
However, the question remains: will these measures actually go into effect, or are they merely strategic bargaining chips?
As the European Commission prepares for possible retaliation, they are poised like a coiled spring. Should Trump proceed with his tariffs, the EU has vowed to respond the very next day. This readiness highlights the precarious balance both sides must navigate, teetering on the edge of a full-blown trade war. Imagine the chaos: supply chains disrupted, prices rising, and consumers feeling the impact as each side imposes sanctions. In this tangled web of international trade, everyone stands to lose, but who will suffer the most? History suggests that trade wars often commence with grandstanding before settling at the negotiating table, and this situation may be no different. Trump is known for his tough tactics, pushing hard for concessions and then seeking compromises.
On the flip side, the EU asserts enough is enough.
They refuse to be undervalued, declaring their patience has run thin.
The likelihood of confrontation looms large, but is this a precursor to a new trade agreement or the beginning of an all-out economic battle? As we analyze the unfolding drama,
the careful choreography of diplomacy becomes evident.
It's a waiting game, with neither side willing to blink first. The consequences of inaction may lead to irreparable economic fallout. However, there remains a glimmer of hope.
Perhaps, through swift negotiations and compromise, a resolution might emerge without the dire repercussions of an escalating trade war.
In this intricate dance of power, the real question begs: how much longer can they face off before the undeniable economic realities force them to find common ground?
As we approach the climax of this unfolding saga, tensions linger over a monumental $28 billion retaliation plan. The question is not merely about numbers but also about power dynamics and global consequences.
What will happen if neither side bends under pressure? Could this lead to a bitter stalemate or a full-blown confrontation? Now, let's dive deeper. Does the European Union's stance hold water in the face of Trump's tariffs? Are these tariffs a fair trade, or are they mere leverage in a high-stakes poker game?
Many believe that this situation teeters on the edge of a significant economic shift that could alter the landscape of international trade forever. As the clock ticks down, a sense of urgency fills the air, and the world watches closely. Will both parties find common ground, or are they destined for an all-out trade war? It's a tricky game, and the fallout could ripple through economies worldwide, especially when the stakes involve over $1 trillion in annual trade and countless livelihoods. Stay vigilant as we unravel this intense rivalry, where every move counts. What could unfold next? Only time will tell whether this tension transforms into a lasting agreement fostering cooperation or escalates into a dramatic showdown. Keep watching closely, as the economic destiny of nations hangs in the balance.